Welcome back to the channel. Zach Lesage here. We're going to be covering over our post-NAIC tier list. Now, the decks that you see below all did pretty well at NAIC. Some did better than others, but all decks were featured in the day 2 of the event. So we're going to be ranking the decks in the best decks, very good decks, solid decks, kind of good, and then frowny face kind of tier. Just because I put your deck in kind of good or frowny face does not mean that it's not necessarily good for a League Cup or a League Challenge. Sometimes decks just aren't well positioned in a current metagame. That's what happens to Pokemon decks. So smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you think in the comments. If there's any videos you want to see, my summer's open. Let me know. So we're going to start off with the Archaludon Surprise Bomb or Venture Bomb deck. I thought this deck was going to do like okay. I think it's like kind of in the category of almost like, I don't know. I feel like it's like kind of good or like frowny face. Maybe kind of good's probably fine. It's like the type of deck that I think that if you're an Arch player or if you just like, it sets up and it does its thing when it sets up and does its thing. So I don't really think that it's requires too much more of an explanation than that, but we'll roll with it. We're gonna go with Armarouge box. I think Armarouge box kind of falls into the same category. If there was a category above it but below solid decks, where it was just like good, I guess I'd probably put it there. And of course I can make a category like that, but we're trying to shake things up here a little bit. I think that Armarouge box has what it takes to be a real competitive deck. I'm sure there's going to be some players that play it at cups, but I think the deck struggles a little bit when it comes to just being consistent. Okay, where are we at next? Because I don't want to just like choose all the decks in order, because then that's going to be like a little bit annoying for me at least. Let's go with Sarah-Ledge. I think Sarah-Ledge, probably kind of good deck. I don't think it's very good. I don't think it's solid, and I don't think it's bad. So we're going to put Sarah-Ledge there. Most notably, Ross Cawthon's the one who's been kind of rocking it. I think that Dango's proven itself to be better. I think that it's just not super well positioned, but not well positioned. That's where kind of good falls. Like, I can't say they're bad decks or not well positioned. They're just like okay. They're like literally if you chose like an average-ish deck. We'll go with Dragapult Charizard. I think Dragapult Charizard is a very good deck. We saw that it absolutely saw so much success. It absolutely dominated NAIC. From the juniors finals, both of them playing the exact same archetype, to a lot of the top players playing the same list. I think Dragapult Charizard seems quite good there. So I'm going to put it very good, definitely above solid decks. Ethan's Typhlosion. I want to put Ethan's Typhlosion at kind of good. Definitely has some flaws against some of the top decks. Like if your opponent's deck plays Dragapult, probably a yikes deck to play against. I can imagine that Gardevoir's got to be very similar in terms of just being able to Monkey Dory some damage. Might be okay against it, but it just seems like it falls a little bit short. Furthermore, we have Festival Lead. Festival Lead is going to be kind of good. I feel like a lot of the decks that made day 2 at NAIC or the bottom half of day 2s are usually kind of good. Festival Lead somehow got in there, so we're going to put it there. I don't think it's necessarily that bad. We're going to go Blissey. Blissey is kind of good. I think Blissey's kind of good. There's like enough like reasons to say that it's kind of good. I don't think it's just solid. And we'll probably get into some more of those in a minute. The deck that I think that I want to put at like frown face is Mewtwo. I think that almost every deck does something better than Mewtwo. And while I didn't get around to creating the icon for it, I think that the Rocket Spidops just by itself is better than Mewtwo. So I'm sorry if you're a Mewtwo lover, Team Rocket lover, Zach Lesage, YouTube, the Shuffle Squad fan, I'm sorry I let you down. I'm gonna put Mewtwo at frown face. Sorry, some deck had to be there. That's probably the only deck that I want to put on this list. Do I think Mewtwo's worse than Festival Lead? That's a different question. I think that's a metagame question, but I think Festival Lead has overall seen more success. So is Blissey, so is Typhlosion. Mewtwo's just sitting down there being like, why am I alone here and all my friends are outside, right? It's like, sorry, Mewtwo, you made some enemies out there. Charizard is what I'm going to start off with. Solid deck. I think that it doesn't necessarily fit in with very good right now. I think it's all right. We saw that Fernandez won the senior division, Gabriel, and it's one of those things where Charizard seems to struggle into the metagame. It can do well in the right field. It did win NAIC in seniors, something to consider, but not necessarily very good. Definitely has like the makings of a very good deck. In terms of the metagame positioning, not as well. Garchomp's probably where I'm going to be putting that there. It's kind of the surprise star of NAIC. Didn't necessarily have any crazy finishes, but definitely had some strong finishes across the board. Dragapult Dusknoir is going to go into very good decks. I think that this deck is just Dragapult plus something is usually going to almost always be very good, and I think right now Dusknoir or Charizard are the best partners for the deck. That being said, Dragapult, straight Dragapult, like the deck that Tord played, I think is solid. It's good if there's a lot more Dragapult in your metagame, but with Gardevoir kind of being up at the top, it does make for some interesting gameplay. I think EVBox has proven itself to be a solid deck. It's no longer putting it in very good deck category right now. It did well at NAIC, but I don't think it necessarily did as well as Dragapult overall. So we'll see how that goes. Gardevoir is going to be the best deck right now. Gardevoir, as long as everything stays stable, should just continue to be the best deck. So if you're not playing Gardevoir, you want to make sure you're playing a deck that beats Gardevoir, or at least a deck that can hang with the rest of the metagame. And that's kind of where we're at right now. It's not just beating Gardevoir, it's beating the best players. So for me, as I prepare for the World Championships, if I'm not prepared to beat Henry Chow, Michael Davidson, a handful of players that are Isaiah Bradner, the players that are seeing the utmost success with Gardevoir, I'm not winning Worlds. I could do well, I'm not winning. So my mindset as I look towards Black Bolt, White Flare, stuff like that, I definitely want to be adjusting how I think about Worlds. So I know if I make it to day 2, I'm going to be running into these types of players, seeing success, and if I avoid them, I think that's probably harder than winning Worlds itself. Dango Dragapult, I think I want to put that at solid. It's almost up there at very good. I think it is very good. Just like a hair under very good and above solid decks if I had to truly place it. Same thing with Dango. I don't know if I like it because the line is, do you play Dragapult but you're still playing Dracloak pretty much right now. And I don't know if you always want to be playing Dragapult, but in a lot of cases you're using the extra draw power of Dracloak. Toadscruel I think is solid. It's definitely moved up a tier. Joltik Box is going to be in the same case. These are decks that just don't really hang up with very good or best. Like they might have a good matchup against Dragapult, but they struggle against some other solid decks, or they struggle against the best decks. Grimmsnarl I think I'm going to end up putting up at very good. Grimmsnarl to me seems like it has all the makings of, it's like Charizard and Dragapult put together. I think it kind of hangs in that kind of top 5 range, whereas these other decks are in the top 10-ish range. So if we're trying to like place where decks could be overall, this is how I'd rate like the top 25 decks. I think it's 23 icons or whatever. Enzoric to me, I think as much as it had a good run with Cameron Shinoy, I'm gonna put it at kind of good right now. I think inherently it's strong. It's just underneath solid right now in the metagame. Raging Bolts seems to me like it's a very good deck. And I think it kind of rounds out our top 5 nicely. and then we have our rest of the top 10-ish. Like you can see Dangos are kind of the same deck, and it puts us into a very good range of, like, let's say there's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's like 12-ish decks if you include Dango as the same deck. Terrabox I think is kind of good, not super well positioned right now, but that's the reason why it went from being one of the best decks to just kind of good. And I think the same thing goes with kind of Wallstall or kind of control based decks. I think they're kind of good right now, but not as good as I want them to be across the board. Pretty unified tier list. A lot of it's going to be based off the results of NAIC, but as you're preparing for cups, I think like any of the decks in the best through solid are kind of good, unless of course you're trying to counter the metagame. If I was going into a field of all Dango, I would love to play Typhlosion. So that's where you would go for that. I've played League Cups out here in Montreal where everyone was playing Red Drago. I play Gouging Fire and I go undefeated, really easy League Cup win. You can definitely make some good choices based off what your homies are playing or not playing, or just educated guesses based off of like what you see people playing at League. So using your detective skills, figured out, because sometimes a deck like Typhlosion, Festival Lead, or even Terrabox can all be amazing. Even Mewtwo can find its way into a League Cup dub. It's not surprising at all, but I think the decks that are majority going to be taking it are going to be best through solid. If I miss any icons, let me know. I will create them, or I do have a file of a bunch of stuff that I did not include here. There's something like 300 icons. So if you're like, hey, where's this deck? These were really just the decks that made day 2 at NAIC. I think it's a pretty good list, but other than that, stay tuned for more great content throughout the week. I will catch up with all y'all later. Much love, peace out, have a great one. 'Want to support the Shuffle Squad? Be sure to check out all of our sponsors in the description to pick up Pokemon TCG singles, sealed, and PTCG live codes.
Tabi no hajimari wa tsune ni michi e no ippo de aru. Sore wa yami e to tsuzuku. 初めの一歩を踏み出すには勇気がいる。そして旅の終わりには旅を始めた時の自分とは別人になっているかもしれない。旅に出よう。物語の次の章がお主を待っている。将軍の道を歩め。侍の箱とともに。アルティメットガードが送る冒険の第一章。刀将軍の道近日発売。